Hello, I'm an American. I am very upset about the political nature. The date is November 14th, 2024, so it's just after the presidential election. I feel very called to speak up, to use my gifts, to not give in to the craziness that has become our country. So if you want to hear some of the things that I have to say, I welcome you. I'm going to talk about politics, of course. I'm going to talk about regular life things. And I'm a tarot reader. I use all sorts of divination forms, and I work with my intuition and guidance, and I'm going to ask questions about all kinds of things. That's what I do. Since I was a kid, I always asked a lot of questions, and it has stood me well in my life. But one thing to know about me is that I used to be scared all the time. I was so afraid of everything. I was afraid of getting in trouble. I was afraid of not getting good grades. I was afraid because I went to church and I was told all kinds of things if I wasn't perfect in this way and that way and things like that. Religion was scary. It wasn't the loving things that I've heard that I want, that most people seek for religion, a comfort. It was just pretty scary to me, and I experienced a lot of fear from people in the church that I went to as I grew up, and especially as I was a young woman. I got a lot of very awful seeming treatment from people that called themselves Christians, and to me that meant being like Christ, who was kind, who was loving, who was welcoming. He taught love, and I've since left that. I don't go to church. I have my own set of beliefs, and I will talk about some of those things as I feel called. But, I was just so afraid for so long. I'm 66 years old, and I've decided that I just can't live in this fear, and let fear drive me and stop me from doing the things that I choose to do. I am going to talk, as I said, and read cards. I go to the gym a couple times a week, 3 times if I can. I'm trying to eat healthier. I've lost weight. I feel better physically. I have arthritis, which means I have pain 24/7. But I've really realized, especially in the last few months, as I was assisting someone very close to me who is dealing with cancer, what it means to face head on what's happening to you. And although there's a lot of medical things going on and interventions, it's you who makes the difference. It's your attitudes, your beliefs, and what you put into it. And that's the way it is with anything and everything in life. We're not victims of all these things that happen in our lives. They come to us, and this is really frustrating, and I'll get a lot of flack, but things come to us as lessons. I'm not saying that explains a lot of horrible things in our lives, because there are some things that, nobody asks for. Some of the pretty nasty things, like, say, cancer. But we get all these things in our lives to help us learn to grow and be better people, to love more, not to, and I'm not saying you have to love an oppressor or things like that. In fact, I'm saying you have to fight against those kind of things. If you see something that you think is wrong, you have to speak up, you have to fight, you have to stand up for other people. You don't have to, but this is what I believe is calling to me right now. You have to stand up and be counted. the world that we live in, the country we live in, is really scary. There's a lot of racist stuff going on. There's a lot of hate. There's so much division. And yet I don't think that many of the American people are really as nasty as it seems. It's just they seem to be the loudest and the ones that are getting the spotlight. I do believe that while we are not a perfect country, and we have a lot of problems, we really do, but I do believe that the majority of Americans are kind, decent people who want to have a good life. They want to work and take care of themselves and their families. They want a fair shake at life. They want justice, and they want truth. And those are things that are part of me. We all have what, people believe they have an astrology sign. Are you, oh, I'm a Capricorn, or I'm this, or I'm that. Well, I'm a Libra. And so I've always grown up with the scales is a symbol of justice. And in the tarot, there is a card named Justice, where the woman, sometimes she's blindfolded because justice is supposed to be blind, but we all know, especially in our country right now, justice is not blind. But this woman is holding a sword of truth. It's a double-edged sword, but it talks about justice is about truth. And swords, double-edged swords, can cut both ways. It can harm you at some ways. It can harm someone. But the truth, I really do believe the truth is what we all need right now, especially right now in our country. There has been so much lying, just outright lying going on the part of people in power. And I don't like it. And I'm tired of it. And like I said, I have to use my voice to speak up. Now, the other thing that Justice has in her hands is a scale. The sword of truth and the scales to try to make things balanced, and that the truth, when the truth comes out, it does make things balance. Now, I don't know that everything can balance, because that's pretty hard. It's hard to balance everything in your life, work and play and taking care of kids and having time to rest and have fun. There's a lot of things that are really almost impossible to balance, but we do try. And balance is the optimal state for most people, but we don't find it often. This life is about, I believe, about learning and finding the good and appreciating the beauty of our natural world and art and music and the differences that we all share. The differences that we all have, but we all, at our core, want the same kind of things. Almost everybody wants to be loved. That's normal. We need a roof over our heads and good food to eat. And we need work, something to do to fill our time, and something that makes us feel good, not something where we have to go and work our fingers to the bone, and all you get is bony fingers for it. So that's what I'm here to talk about, is some of these kind of things. I would like to do, as I said, I used to be scared about a lot of things, and I'm still scared of a lot of things. But I've decided that the only way I can get through the fear is to go through the fear, I don't want to live in this state constantly. Like, I have felt sick to my stomach. I have cried. I have raged since the election. I don't want to live that way every day. I can't. It wears you out. I have very little creative energy in a lot of ways. I had a teacher when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, I believe. I was drawing, as kids do, as part of school. And this teacher told me, you don't have any drawing talent. You should stop doing this. And I was, even at the time, I was flabbergasted that a teacher would say something so awful to me. It doesn't matter whether I was drawing great. I wasn't trying to be an artist at that time. I was just doing what kids at that age do. You play with crayons and you make pictures. And that's when a lot of things, that was very influential on me. It was very hurtful, and it wasn't something that was good. And I've lived through, as a woman, I've lived through a lot of the, oh, you can't do that. Why not? Because you're a woman. Well, what does that have to do with it? Or you'll never make any money doing that. That's the biggest one. And that's one of the things I intend to break that from my life, because I've had it being someone having their thumb, or actually maybe their foot on my head, telling me, oh, you can't make any money doing that. You need to stay down. You need to stay in your place. And that's a lot of what's going on in this country still. Women are rising up all over the place and saying, you can't take away our rights. You can't do all this. We are going to fight you. And I'm part of that fight. So I'm going to do a tarot reading. And I'm going to ask for some guidance on how to work through my fears. Okay, I was going to try to pause, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen on this video. So I've got a deck I'm using. It's called the Seer's Tarot, and it's a small version of the deck. I do have the larger version, and I may have to get that out to use in other videos, because the cards are smaller. They're very easy to shuffle for that reason, and I like that about them. But the other cards would be easier to see, so I'm going to give the cards a shuffle. And what I'm asking, because this is a very important part of a tarot reading or any kind of reading or things like this, is the question is very important. As I said earlier, I started asking questions when I was young, and I've never stopped. And I said, you know, people get irritated at me at times because, why do you expect me to know all this? And my husband says that sometimes, and I said, you know, I don't expect you to know everything, but you know a lot about these kind of things, so I ask you first. And if you don't know the answer, then I'll go look someplace else. But I ask questions. That's how I find things. That's how I figure out the world. That's how I exist. I ask a lot of questions. And tarot's like that. So I mentioned that I work with tarot. I have a great interest in birth cards. As I started talking about this and I got off track. Everybody has their, you know, you were born on this date and this time, and so then you have certain stars and planets that guide you. Tarot also has a system for that based on when you were born. And that's something that I will work on and talk about. But as I said, one of my lifetime cards is Justice. It's the card of Libra, which is what I am. And that justice is funny because it can relate to a lot of different things, but how it's played out in my life, well, there's one thing I don't know that I want to talk about here at this point, and it's not that I'm hiding anything, it's just I think it's a matter of safety right now. But I worked in the legal profession. I was not a lawyer. I was a legal assistant for a long time. And so I worked in the justice system, and I was always very concerned about what the truth was in situations. And that's what I thought the legal business was about, but I found out that there's an awful lot of who's better at playing the game. And it's not necessarily what the actual truth is, but that's what I think has led me to the tarot and to asking so many questions, is to get to the truth, because the truth is important, and the truth should be what matters. So I'm going to ask about my fear. How can I forge through my fear? What can I do to face my fears and keep moving anyway? because that's what they say courage is you feel the fear and you do it anyway. So that's what I'm going to ask. How do I face my fears and do what I'm afraid of and keep going? What actions can I take to face my fears and keep going? And I'm going to draw 3 cards. How can I face my fear and keep going? Okay. How do I face my fears and keep going and move past them? And one more card. How do I move past my fears and face them and keep going? And so I have 3 cards. And I will also probably look at the bottom card of the deck, because that is called the teacher card, or what is underlying the situation. So the first card that I have drawn is the Empress. This shows a woman pregnant. The Empress is about being full of life, about giving birth to ideas, giving birth literally or figuratively, about what you want to bring out into the world. The Empress is also very nurturing, and on most cards she is shown sitting with a lot of food and plants and all kinds of things around her, symbolizing the abundance of whatever life we live, because there is an abundance. So she's nurturing and abundance and creativity. So that tells me that what I need to do is I need to allow my ideas, my thoughts, my beliefs to be born into something else, not to just stay inside my head, but to share them, to nurture them and bring them out. The second card in the reading about facing my fears is the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups are about your emotions and your relationships. And so this is telling me that I need to, that what I can do is to famously see my cups as full or half full, or you need to see them as half full at least, or full, not half empty, and to have that attitude. But this is also about relationships. And in this card, there is 2 people that are hugging, that are clearly close, and there's a couple of children playing. It looks like they're at the ocean. They're playing in the sand. And it's about relationships, and it's about love, and it's about family. So I think that as I birth my creations from this first card, I birth them and nurture them and bring my feelings and my beliefs out into the world. That is how I deal with it. It comes through family, or through not just family, but relationships with all people, and with the earth, with my home, with everything that's around me. And the last card that I have in this spread about how to deal with my fears is Strength. This is another major arcana card. The first card, Empress, is the major arcana too, and these are big life things. And right now, every year has a card, a major arcana card, that is, you get through the numerology, adding the digits up, and this is number 8, and that is what this year, 2024, is a strength year. And strength is not about necessarily being physically strong and being able to lift things up, and that image of strength, but being strong and being able to be gentle. Usually this card will show, and it's kind of depicted with you can see there's half a lion face and half of a human face, and there's a lamb here, and that implies the gentleness. And I've always seen this card, it reminds me of the story, The Beauty and the Beast, where there's this very young, not frail, but petite woman who is there's that scene where the beast has an owie or something, has something in his paw, and she's trying to help him take care of it, and he's whining and fussing, and she's just taking care of him and not afraid of his bluster, because she knows it is just bluster. She's taking care of him. So it's gentleness over being, she was gentle to this big brute strength guy that could have just wiped her out, but she was gentle and she was persuading him to take care of him. She was nurturing him. So I see this as a card of that. And this one implies that we have the gentle side, and then we have the beast, and we have to combine them. We need to know when is it, to stand up and be the protective energy, or when we need to be the gentle and persuasive type. But it's all literally about being strong and not letting the fear of the beast overcome you. So this is telling me that to give birth to my ideas and nurture them through my relationships and love, and to be strong in whatever ways that means to be strong to me. And if it means sometimes I have to take a rest, it means sometimes I have to yell, or write, or read, or watch Outlander to calm down, that's good. I need to do all those kinds of things, because taking care of me and everybody, taking care of what they need, is a part of being strong, because you can't be strong and take care of people if you're weak, if you're not caring for yourself. Just like on an airplane, they tell you if you have a child and the masks come down, you put the mask on your face, and then you put the mask on your child, because you're no good to your child if you pass out. So it's the same kind of concept. So I'm seeing this as really wonderful encouragement for me to face my fears, let my things that I care about and that I want to give birth to, let them come out, nurture my relationships and come from a place of love, and realize that I have the strength to face whatever comes my way. Now, the teacher card in this particular example, what's underlying the situation, is the Five of Swords. Swords are about your thoughts, your beliefs, ideas, and fives can often be about conflict. So this is telling me that I need all the strength, the love, and the nurturing, because there are going to be hard times. There's going to be things that really drive me nuts. There's going to be times when, and this has happened a lot lately, where I'm really in my head, and I'm thinking and I'm thinking and I'm thinking, and I can't quite break the spell. So for me, this tells me that maybe I need to detach from some of the things that are making me so upset and spend my time doing these other things, because I can't deal with and face my fears if I'm just stuck so much in them and letting them go around and around and around, fly around and sitting on my shoulder and telling me, be afraid, don't do this, it's awful, be afraid. And that makes a very lot of sense to me. So I appreciate this reading, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do readings about different issues that I see in my life, and I'm going to talk and I'm going to share them. And if you've listened this far, I thank you very much for your time. I also want to say that I am going to be me. I can be contrary. I like to argue about things, and sometimes I'm going to say fuck. That's who I am, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Please don't come after me. If you do, it's not going to work. I have to be who I am. I have lived 66 years of my life with people telling me what to do and who to be and how to be, and I'm not going to do that anymore. Thank you. My name is Irys.